And that's when money came into my life, and I felt like it fit within like what I value.
Wow.
So your brand is basically things that you value.
Yes.
And you basically want to show that to people. You want to share that with people because you want to build trust.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Vibing Out with Texony. I'm your host, Texony, aka Mr. WorldVibe. And what we have here is a community to give local voices a public platform of shared ideas, knowledge, and perspectives. So this is season 2, Go Home, where a majority of the episodes will serve as a guide for you to return home. But not just our physical house. Instead, ways of returning to the best version of ourselves, which could be, physically, emotionally, mentally, financially, and spiritually. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's go home. Now, as you can tell, this is a Feature Fridays episode, which means I have a guest. So I'm really excited to talk about my guest. But first of all, I just want to say thank you for being here. Really appreciate you guys for tuning into this episode. Go ahead and give this episode a like and a comment. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe and all that good stuff. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, make sure you're following the podcast just so you don't miss another episode. And honestly, I appreciate all the support. So let me know if you liked the episode. Let me know what you learned. Let me know if you thought anything. Let's have a little conversation. I'm always looking to engage with you guys, engage with the community, and get some conversations going, right? So thank you so much for being here. Thank you to my guest, Sonam, for coming on to this episode. I knew Sonam in high school. We went to the same high school together, reconnected online through Instagram, and I found out, she's into business just like myself. So Sonam works for Monet network marketing company that focuses on hair care products. Now, I'm also with a network marketing company, and I can tell you it's not easy, doing any kind of business. It's not easy in business at all, especially for entrepreneurs. And network marketing has its own, share of challenges, stigmas, and everything associated with it. But, fortunately for Sonam, she's been able to be with Monet for over a year, and she's found her success in the company. So you're going to hear us talk about, ideas about entrepreneurship, ways of turning passion into profit that we've done ourselves. So she has an amount of knowledge, wisdom, and just, insight that she, provides us with in this episode. I talk about my podcast, and we just kind of explain different experiences, and we tie them to this idea of the 10 pillars of entrepreneurship. So if you're listening and you are an entrepreneur or you want to become one, you'll learn a lot from this episode, I really hope. If you're someone who has a hobby or a passion, maybe you'll take some of these ideas and maybe you'll be able to go from a hobby and passion into ways of making money. There's nothing wrong from making money from what you love to do. Okay? So I really hope this episode, is interesting for you guys watching and listening at home. I just want to shout out that production space for hosting the podcast studio. And if you want to see the behind the scenes of this episode where Sonam and I ask her some more questions, she explains more about what she does, and we play a little game at the end. If you want to check out this footage, head to the Patreon. Okay, I drop behind the scenes content, early access, anything and everything to do with my upcoming book is on the Patreon as well. And so if you want to be part of this community, part of an exclusive community with even more content, and you want to just support me in general, check out the Patreon. So the link is in the description of this video, of this podcast. So thank you to everybody who's on the Patreon so far, and for those considering. That being said, I think you know everything you need to know now. So I hope you enjoy the episode, and I'll see you on the other side. Enjoy. And we're back with another podcast with my guest here, Sonam. We are here to talk about turning passion into profit. And so this is something we're going to get into. We're going to get into our lives as entrepreneurs, our businesses, and just kind of like expand on our ideas as we've been moving through this, entrepreneurship lifestyle, you could call it, right? So why don't we start by,
introduce yourself to everybody, Sonam. What you're into. I mean, your company, Monet, that you work for, and kind of what you do with that company.
Okay. Hi guys. I am Sonam Bola. I am in the network marketing industry, and I work for a company called Monet, and what they do is provide hair care and skincare products for their customers. And basically, the second portion of network marketing industry is also networking with people and sharing the business opportunity with them as well. And within the company, I am a associate market builder at this point.
Right. Okay. So you get to sell your products to people, and then also you have a community that you get to work with and work for, right? Okay.
Exactly, yeah.
Right. So, okay, cool. So, I mean, let's take a step back before we get into entrepreneurship. Let's take a step back, think about what life was like before we became entrepreneurs. Obviously, I have this podcast. That's my entrepreneurial thing for me. So are there any moments in your life growing up where you took any entrepreneurial actions, like, you know, making money here, being creative over here? Where did you find yourself kind of fitting into this entrepreneurship mindset before you actually began with Monet?
I mean, I've always had the idea of having my own business, like, in the back of my mind, even though I think, like, when I was younger, I just didn't really take it that seriously, and I didn't think of, like, exploring my, like, ideas that I had. So I just went straight to university after high school. Yeah. And I didn't really explore it as much as I should have, I felt like, at a younger age. So, like, at least it would have helped me come up with some direction towards it. But, I mean, the passion was always there. I just never knew what opportunity I would be taking, you know.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Yeah. And, I mean, we're here now. So what was that moment for you where you decided, okay, I want to start my own business? I guess it was the moment you joined with Monet. What was that moment like for you?
No, actually, really? Before that, okay. I was looking into actually starting online business. At first, I was basically just helping out my sister. So she is a wedding planner. You can check out her page as well. It's Affine Weddings. Okay. And I was basically managing her social media, like all of it, including Instagram and her website. So I was just helping her out. She would tell me to, like, she would share, like, her raw images. I would edit them. I would write her captions for her, hashtags, everything, posting at what time, controlling all of that. So I really enjoyed it, even though, like, I was obviously doing it for free because it's my sister.
Of course, of course.
But I was like, hey, like, if this is something that I really like and I'm good at, maybe there is something in it for me. Like, maybe there's a career in it for me. So I actually thought about becoming a virtual assistant. So basically, have you heard of what a virtual assistant is? Okay, so basically for busy entrepreneurs, like people that have small businesses, if they don't have the time to do any basically office work, accounting.
Yeah, the upkeep and stuff of your business kind of.
Yeah, and even online, like social media management, anything of the sort, you can hire a virtual assistant to do it for you per hour. So that was something that I looked into because I really like the aspect of, like, helping others become more successful, or helping others, you know, expand their business and bring in new customers. And social media is a huge part of that. So that's, I think, that's where, like, the interest grew. And then one day I just saw an ad on Instagram, and it was posted by my friend Madison. Well, we're friends now and business partners, but at that time we were complete strangers, and we just started talking about what she does, and she basically explained to me why the products are good for you. And I love hair care in general. I love taking care of my hair, and at that time I was struggling to deal with my hair because I had damaged it so much. And I really liked the idea of products that actually perform, because I felt like I tried everything. I even tried the products, like, that my hairstylist recommended from her salon, and it just didn't work out for me. So I was really interested in, like, trying out the products and seeing if this is something that I would be into. So I purchased my product pack, and I tried the products. I instantly fell in love, and then that's where the story began.
Right. Yeah. And I love your company, Monet, because it really tries to, like, be the top of hair care. And hair care is something that we all, I would say 98% of us, maybe people that are bald, maybe not, but, like, most people have to take care of their hair. people with a lot of hair. And so, like, where do you think most people that are with that mentality of taking care of their hair, what do you think are some of the questions people ask themselves, or like, do you know what I mean? What are some of the problems that your company solves that the average person has with their hair?
So the thing with products that are off the shelf, so if people are to buy products from grocery stores, the drugstore products, even though they are cheap, they contain a lot of toxic chemicals that we don't realize that we use on a daily basis. And the mission is to basically reduce the use of toxic chemicals on our body so that, there are a lot of ingredients that are actually really bad for you and can cause like serious diseases like cancer. And we don't think about it, but we keep using the products and it just accumulates over time, right? And that's the thing with toxic chemicals as well. They make your hair appear like healthy or shiny, but it's really just like a plastic layer coating the top of your hair, like the top layer of your hair.
Yeah.
And what our products do is basically remove that product buildup or waxy substance off of your hair. So it basically like clarifies your hair, all of the products in general.
Nice.
And with the Rejuvenate oil, it's based in all of our products. So what it does is basically heal your hair from inside out, every single product.
Yes.
So that's what I loved about the products, that they're actually solution driven, and they focus on particular problems that you may have. That's why it's so important to get a consultation before even purchasing anything, because you want to make sure that you're purchasing the right products for your hair type.
And the consultation is free. It's just as easy as just messaging you. How does someone go about, for example, reaching out to you for a consultation just to learn about their hair, hair health?
You can literally just DM me. You can also go on my profile and fill out the form that I mentioned earlier as well in the before we started the episode.
Yes.
But you can fill out the form and I'll be notified, and then I can reach out to you however way you prefer.
Perfect. I bet that's such a fun experience. Like when you get that notification, when you have someone reaching out to you. I love that person. When people reach out to me with questions, and that's a good moment for us because we get to actually, employ some of the things we've learned, and we get to help out people. So
yeah, exactly.
100%. Cool. So before we go into, I want to talk about these 10 pillars of entrepreneurship. We've talked about them before, and I think they're really pivotal to becoming an entrepreneur. Or if you're listening or watching and you have a small business, you'll realize, these are 10 things I know about, or I have to learn more about in order to become better and grow more. So I want to get into that entrepreneurial pillars and stuff like that, but I've been thinking recently about this idea of going from hobbies to businesses, right? We all have hobbies, and I think it builds over time. You have hobbies, they turn into passions. Then it may turn into a passion project where you're like, okay, I'm really committed to what I'm doing. It's a goal now, and I really have to like help people with my passion. And then ultimately it turns to a business where you're like, okay, I'm spending so much time on this, I should earn some money from this.
Yeah.
So I think if it starts from a hobby and a passion, and then it turns into your business, then you're always doing it for the right reasons. Like you said, your hair, that's something that you always care about. Yeah. So it works for you. What are some like hobbies or like passions of yours, like besides Monet that you kind of, because I want someone to listening or watching to think about their own hobbies and passions. So what are some of your hobbies or passions, would you say, that are around or just like not related to Monet?
I would say I'm really into interior design. So I love playing around with furniture. I love designing rooms, areas, or even helping people out when they're like remodeling their home. I'll just always give like my advice.
Your 2 cents, yeah.
Yeah, because
Awesome.
I love it. It excites me, right? And even before a couple years ago, I had this like little hobby where I would purchase secondhand furniture and then refurnish it and everything, like
resell it,
paint it, and sell it.
Right.
So that was like so much fun for me because that was something I would do like on the weekends or something, right, when I wasn't working. And that was like, I found a way to make my passion into something that I can make a profit out of. So
right.
Yeah.
Right. For me, I don't really like watch TV or movies a lot. I'm more into like, I'm trying to read more. I'm really, really trying.
Same.
It's tough. I mean, I work out. I would call that a hobby.
Yeah.
Or a passion, working out.
It is.
I spend a lot of time on YouTube though. That's like my like Netflix or TV in a sense.
But what are you watching on YouTube? That depends.
Like maybe like NBA's like highlights. Maybe
Okay,
I'll
yeah.
watch like videos related to like business or what I'm doing. I just watch anything. Like I will just click anything. I spend too much time on there sometimes, but that's kind of my hobby, is just, watching videos on YouTube.
Yeah,
So.
that sounds like my boyfriend as well. Whenever like he's watching something, it's like on YouTube. He's probably watching something about NBA,
Right.
the highlights or anything like that,
Exactly.
like workout videos or anything.
Oh, so much
yeah.
on there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I want you guys at home to be thinking about some of the of their hobbies or passions, and then let's get into these pillars and find out ways to view your hobbies or passions into, okay, how can I turn this hobby thing I love to do, move towards making money from it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let's start with the first one, passion, right? That's the first one, the first pillar. I don't think these are in any order. We might go over the place with these pillars, but I think passion is the most important thing. Doing things out of actual love, care for what you're doing.
Yeah.
You'll never be steered the wrong way. If you fail, if you don't make money right away, as long as you're doing it for the right reason. So, how does someone lean into that passion when they're looking to figure out, what am I passionate about? How does someone find that?
Exactly. Yeah. We're sitting here talking about passion, but I was thinking in my head, a lot of people are going to go, oh, but I don't know what I'm passionate about.
True.
So here's a tip I always recommend to people is basically to figure out what makes you happy.
Right.
So throughout the day, just think about the moments that you felt fully content and happy,
Okay.
and note them down at the end of the day. You need to do some self-reflection every day, which I highly
Big one.
recommend.
Yep.
Yeah. So you got to think about what truly makes you happy, and when you feel your best, when you're not thinking about anything else, distractions don't bother you, and you're completely in your zone. That is what you should focus on. That's where you should focus on developing your skills and learning more about. So, and then eventually you can turn that into a business somehow. There's so many different ways you can make money nowadays. So, exactly.
So let's move on then, because it's up to the person to figure out their passion. But that's a really good. I love that self-reflection.
Yeah.
But you mentioned money, so many different ways to make money, and financial literacy is a big one, because we're making money from our business, but we have to learn how to save money. We have to know what to do with money, and I feel like we didn't really learn that in school.
No.
There's no budgeting class. So what's your source of financial knowledge? Where did you go to learn more about that as you started your business?
I feel like it hit me a lot in university about just learning about how to manage my money, because soon as I went to university, I just started blowing money I
Same.
was totally balling, you know?
Yep.
And when you are at your lowest, I feel like that's when you start reflecting on your habits and your your spending habits basically.
Yep.
And that's where I started to learn how to manage my money. But now for me, it's making my money grow, using my money to grow more money. No one nowadays is just doing one single thing. No one is just doing their 9 to 5. They're always looking into different ways to make multiple streams of income.
That's a
And
fact.
that's where what you utilize to basically get out of the whole paycheck to paycheck kind of thing.
Yeah, millionaires, people that are financially independent, financially free, they always have multiple sources of income. So you can look at entrepreneurship as another source of income at its purest form, right? That's what it is. And there's so many different ways to make money, but having, like you said, multiple sources that's going to bring you higher than most people sit in, which is I'm stuck to my job.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we can, talk about the next pillar, which is social and selling skills. So how do we use our communication skills to sell? So let's make money from our ability to network, for example. That's a really big thing. We're online. I mean, both of us, we have online businesses. I'm sure if you guys are watching, you have to take your business online nowadays, because that's where we all are, less in person. So where did you kind of learn to use your social skills to start selling to people? Because that's a huge a lot of areas to learn in there.
Yeah, social selling was definitely like a new thing for me when I started with Monet, because I hadn't done that before. Like, I had just worked for other people and I hadn't really, had my own business before. So it was all very new to me. But it's so important to make new connections every single day.
Yep.
And to just keep building those relationships and to bring in, like, form new relationships is what I mean as well, right? So to keep building on your relationship and to keep making new connections, it's so important. And it's so hard at first, because when you're first starting out, you're so hesitant to just like reach out to people, especially if you're like antisocial like me.
It's all good.
I'm not gonna lie, like before the business, I wasn't as social and I didn't really care to like keep up with people, right? But it did teach me not to just like make sales. I don't just reach out to people to make sales, but it made me realize that like I should keep connected to all these people, because I am interested in how they're doing and, what they're doing with their lives, or like just out of curiosity, and I wish them well-being. So I just want to share that positivity with people, because you never know whose day you're really going to make that day.
Facts. That's one of the things I learned is like when you really care about a person, when you support them, they'll support you back. Like you have to support them first. You have to reach out to people first and say, hey, I'm interested in what you're doing. I love what you're doing. How can I help you? How can I support you? And then, as you talk about what you're doing in time, you can't just reach out and just be like, I need something from you. But you kind of just form that relationship, sustain that relationship like you're saying. Yeah. And then people are, once they're into what you're doing, once they trust you and value your opinion back, they'll just say yes regardless.
Exactly.
But it comes with that relationship,
you have to build that relationship.
Yeah.
I love it when people start new businesses. It makes me so excited and I'm just so happy. And I love supporting people. So if you are like starting a new business, message me. I definitely will be like ready to support you 100%.
Yep. And then there's like the whole fear of like rejection, because, people will say no. Like, like there's a quote, the sale doesn't start until the customer says no. You walk into a store, or we used to, you walk into a store and someone's like, hey, can I help you? And you're like, no, I'm fine. And then that's when like the sale begins. Once you say no, once they say no, how do you move past that or maneuver that no, that rejection?
Exactly. I always say this, it's not a no, it's just a not right now. So even if they're interested and they're asking you questions about it, and then they finally decide, okay, no, maybe not, like, I don't think I want to go with it. It doesn't mean that they're completely backed off from the idea. It's just they need time to process things. Yeah. And they might see something in the future that may make them even more interesting. So it's always like following up with people, especially when it comes to like my business. There's a lot of people that want to start a business with Monet. They're interested in it, but they need to take some time to think about it, because it's not free. So you're investing some money into it. Even though it is low risk, but it is something that you're going to basically come out to the world to, right? And show them, be like, hey, I'm starting this business. Yep. So you're basically invested in it. And if you quit too soon, then everyone's going to know like that you're a quitter. So that's always in like your head before you even start. And it's the fear of rejection. That's what it is. Yeah. You feel like you're not going to be able to sell anything. You feel like no one's going to want to join your team or anything like that. And that makes you hesitant to even go forward. And that's the worst thing you can do, because it's such a low risk opportunity where even if you fail, you haven't really failed. You still got free products.
That's true. Exactly. And you get to learn something. Like fear holds everyone back from, I think fear is like the biggest self-limiting belief. Yes. Fear is always there, but learning how to get past it. So hopefully these kinds of topics we're talking about can push a person past their fears and make them want to go out and just face rejection that comes with the business, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. How about mentors, right? I think that's a big part of what we do as entrepreneurs. We have to be surrounded by people who are more successful than us, because they are the ones that are going to teach us. And nothing's really free. Like, it's not really free. They're investing in you, mentors. Exactly. So, where have your mentors come from? Like, how do you find mentors in your life for your business?
Well, in our company especially, we actually encourage mentorship, and we always have, like, soon as you sign up, there's always a mentor. The person that signed you up is basically responsible to showing you the ropes and showing you, like, being there for you, basically support 24/7. I always tell my girls that. I'm like, you can message me at any time. I may not reply right away, but you don't ever feel hesitant to, like, reach out to me, because I will be there for you. If you are, like, passionate and you're working hard and you want to do this business, you got to show up for yourself. So that's one thing. But building that relationship is so important, especially with my mentor, Madison, who basically brought me into the business.
Shout out Madison.
I love her. But we've formed such a good relationship that we're, like, basically friends. I tell her, like, literally everything in my life. And she's there for me because she knows basically all parts of my life, right? Whereas my friends and family that aren't in Monet don't understand, like, what we go through on a day-to-day basis, because we're, like, constantly in touch.
Yep.
So you need someone that you can, like, as a mentor, it has to be someone that you can rely on and basically be there for you when you need help.
Mm-hmm. But what about, like, online mentors? Because I think I mentioned this before to you. Like, a lot of my mentors are people that I have read books about or watched on YouTube. I don't even know them personally. They don't know me, but I still feel like they're mentors to me, because they say things that directly help me. You're getting
that knowledge. So if you're getting that knowledge from someone, they are your mentor.
Yeah.
That's like for in our business, we have so many, like, senior executive directors that do calls, and I'm literally sitting there. I know everything about their life because I follow them on Instagram, and I love hearing their advice and the way they inspire people. And they're basically your mentors, but they don't know you because there's literally 800 other people on that call.
Yeah. So you're like one little dot on the Zoom call.
Exactly. But they make you feel like they care, because they do care. They care about everyone in their team.
Yeah.
And they want to keep passing on that knowledge throughout the whole team. So it's that, like, as long as you feel a connection and you feel like this is someone that I want to be like, then that's a mentor.
Perfect. And I think this is a good kind of segue, I guess, to the next one is community, right? Your mentors are part of your community, and your community is everything, right? And any part of your life, even if you don't have a business, your community is going to be there to uplift you, support you with whatever you do. So community in business is everything, right? Like we talked about, building relationships, sustaining relationships. This is something I think I wish people would, try to utilize more. We're all online. It's so easy to message people. It's so easy to kind of reach out to people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how do you keep up with your community? Do you just reach out to people, or do you, like, you know what I mean? How do we continue to build our community for someone who has a business or is thinking about a business? How can we continue to keep that community aspect?
I think just reach out. Yeah. Keep making reach outs, just follow new people. Even, it all comes down to, like, mindset, because community for you, like, the people that you surround yourself with are going to affect your mindset. They always say, like, the 5 closest people to you are who you're basically going to be like. So community is, like, really important for me, especially with Monet, our entire team. So not just, like, people that I've brought into the team, but also, like, people higher up than me and my cross lines, whatever. We have, like, all these different chats where we stay connected and keep each other, like, positive, and just, like, support each other all throughout the day. Like, no matter what, if I have a question or anything and, like, my upline is not available, I'll just type it in the group chat and someone will respond, like, right away. It's that instant.
That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah, it's that team, it's that community feeling, and they just keep me lifted and keep me going. So I love that. Yeah. So shout out to everyone on my team as well.
I feel like everybody has, like, a group chat with somebody, you know what I mean? Like, whether it's your friends, whether it's your family, everybody should have a group chat, whether it's, your business, which, you have, and that's so convenient for you, or just close people. I think that's kind of like a mini community online is group chats, group messages, and things like this, right? Yeah.
It's like, because you get to share, like, your accomplishments as well. And maybe, like, someone, if I was to type the same thing, like, oh, I just signed up a new VIP, and, like, my family group chat, they're just gonna be like, okay. But like,
That's true.
like, what are you talking about? Okay.
Yeah.
But if I was to say the same thing in my Monet group chat, it's like, yes, and like confetti and like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
you know,
It's different. Yeah, like you
it's
said,
a whole different
perspective.
vibe and gets you like
Yeah.
pumped. So I
Yeah.
love it.
That's true. That's true. 100%.
I'm not gonna lie, like it's hard for me to stay active throughout the day, but I do appreciate them and like I love just catching up with everything they're talking about.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
hilarious.
And okay, so we're speaking about dedication. Your community keeps you dedicated, keeps you inspired. But oftentimes we have to find that dedication within ourselves, right? No one's gonna make us get us up and make us go do our stuff, right? We have to find that within. I read this online. You have to work up to 80 hours a week for 1 to 2 years to get a business up and running. You have to invest a lot of time.
Yeah.
More than money, more than anything, your time is the most valuable thing. And it's going to be the thing you have to put the most into starting a business. So here's what I kind of want to ask you is, because, you know, we work online, but we also use online for just entertainment. And even me personally, I've felt like the effects of like burnout. Like I'm just online for business, and then I'm like online for this, and I'm like, when do I get off the phone? So how do we avoid burning out with too much work? You know what I mean? How do we avoid that? How do we kind of balance out working hard with just like relaxing?
I think we talked about this before too, like taking breaks in between. So definitely I get that, because especially with me, if I'm scrolling, I try to scroll just for business purposes, right? So I'm looking up something, or I'm following up with someone, or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
I try to make it mostly business. But yeah, definitely you see something on Instagram and then you will see one reel and then you're scrolling through
An
like
hour later.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It happens, right?
Yeah.
But you always gotta refocus. So whenever I'm working and I'm focusing on work, I try to eliminate technology. So I try to just focus on like writing down my ideas, or even just reading a book instead of having like an online book on an app or anything like that. So I'm avoiding looking at a screen, because it's so
Fair enough.
important. Especially with me, I get migraines throughout the day if I just keep staring at like screens all day.
Really?
So I try to keep off of it. Maybe even work out or anything like that. Distract myself.
You can turn your notifications off while you work. Is that one thing? If you work on your phone or something, I feel like notifications they'll take you to a different app. Now you're here. Now you're there.
Yeah.
So it that's one thing. I mean, I try that when I'm working sometimes.
See, I can't do that because I always forget to like put my notifications back on, and then I lose a lot of messages, and it's like, Sonam, where the hell have you been? But
Oh no.
yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that's up to you guys to figure out how much you want to dedicate. But ultimately, the more you put in, the more you'll get out. That's how
Exactly. You
dedication
get what
works.
you put into it.
100%.
I've learned that the hard way with having like downlines, especially. So like people that I bring into the business as well.
Yeah.
I can't make anyone want to work. It's basically the whole reason they started this business, or why I started this business, is so that they can put into as much as they want to. But then again, they're not going to see the results they want if they're not going to put in the work.
Yep.
And I can't force them to do that, and they
Like you
just
said,
have to.
Yeah, has to come from within at a certain point.
Exactly. So it
Yeah.
has to come from within.
This next pillar is probably one of my favorites. It's brand. I think the idea of brand is everything for business. Like, what problem are you solving? What value are you giving to people? That's the most important thing with businesses. And we're on different like ends of the spectrum. You're like, in your case, you're taking a brand and making it your own.
Yeah.
With me, I have no brand. I have to make it. So you take it and make it your own, and I have to take my own and turn it into something. But in either case, it's really important to find what brand means to ourselves. So how do you take your brand and turn it into like your identity? How have you been doing that?
So before so I'm gonna kind of disagree with you there.
Really? Okay.
The way you see it, especially, is because that I basically started my business and then started building a brand, which is somewhat true. But online and my social media presence, I
Right.
did start building a brand afterwards. But before I started Monet, it basically started out with me starting to make healthier choices in my life.
Yeah.
And so that's when I started working out, started watching what I eat, and learning more about taking care of my body and like basically eliminating toxic chemicals. So even with like cleaning products and stuff, I was always trying to make a switch and even use like homemade cleaning products. Like, I don't know if you guys use like just vinegar to basically clean everything.
No, but I've heard of that. Soda, so for sure. Yeah.
Little things like that. I was making changes like that throughout my life. And that's when it came into my life and I felt like it fit within like what I value. Right. So your brand is basically things that you value.
Yes.
And you basically want to show that to people. You want to share that with people because you want to build trust. You want to build that relationship with people. So you want to show people what you value.
Yeah, yeah.
And that is ultimately your brand.
Right. So, okay. So if I'm understanding right, so it's kind of like you were already headed that way and you kind of met and like went the same way with your business in a sense,
exactly.
Right?
And then my brand, right. I created my brand online by sharing the things that I already did, like cooking, healthier meals, and just cooking at home, even not going out as often. My smoothies, protein shakes, what supplements I use, what vitamins I use.
Yes. That's the big thing with brand is being authentic. Like you're showing your whole life.
Yeah.
With your online presence because that's who you are. So you have to kind of show your brand is you. So you have to show you the truest form of yourself. You love your smoothies. For example, you love them, so you show them. Yeah. And so that's a huge thing with brand, guys. Just be authentic, right? Yeah. Just
the one thing, that I haven't done is probably post-workout videos. And I even saw you on your story saying I need to start.
I tried for once.
That's good though. See, at least people can see that you're serious about taking care of yourself, right? That's building your brand there as well.
Yeah.
So that is something that I need to incorporate as well. But in the future, of course, I'm still building my strength from not working out for a couple months because the gym's closed and stuff. So
I would always be at the gym and I would laugh. I wouldn't laugh, but I'd see the one person with the little tripod filming the workouts and I'd be like, this guy. But now I'm like, you know what? This guy, man. They're doing it.
Taking advantage.
Yeah.
Of the
So
gym.
I might pull up with a tripod when the gym's open. You never know.
Do it.
Yeah. And then one of the last ones here is build an audience, right? We have to use different platforms to actually reach out and kind of extend our community. We have to reach out to different platforms. Which platforms do you use the most? Which have you found have been the most useful for yourself?
My main platform is Instagram, of course, because that's where most of my information is available.
Follow her.
Yeah.
Follow Sonam.
And I have created a TikTok account, but I'm going to be honest, ever since Instagram got Reels, I've just been posting the exact same thing on TikTok.
Same. Don't even feel sorry for it at all.
Because TikTok for me is a way to bring people to my Instagram. So if they go to my profile and they click the little button, my Instagram is linked. So that's where they come and then they receive all the information about me, about the products, about everything. Yeah. So basically using other platforms, picking a main platform and then using other platforms to bring an audience there as well. Because there's so many people on TikTok and they won't see your profile unless, they see that random TikTok you posted a couple months ago.
And when we post things online onto social media platforms, we give them our content. It's not ours anymore.
Exactly.
So it's we don't really own anything. So that's why for I've tried doing emails, an email list. Patreon is a big thing. I would definitely suggest that to anyone who's a creative and has to earn money, spends money on what they do. Create a community there. But definitely platforms. And it's nice how you found out what works for you. You try TikTok and then you realize, okay, well, they kind of do the same thing now with TikTok and Instagram. So it's nice to be able to reach out and figure out what works for you.
Exactly.
And that's a big part of it.
I'm also looking into even Pinterest now because I thought about it. I sat there and thought about it and I'm what is the number one thing that I do when I need to solve a problem? Where do I search? What platform do I use?
It's a big question. Yeah,
I use Pinterest a lot. I use it, mostly for recipes, I'm not going to lie. But for regular things too, I used to look up DIY treatments for hair and stuff like that. So anything for hair growth or anything like that, even though now I know that DIY treatments don't really work.
Exposed.
As well as they may look like they made a difference, but it really doesn't. It may like dry out your hair after, or it may not even penetrate like your hair. So
okay, so this is a very important pillar. I feel like for me is to keep learning. Right, I've learned a lot, and that's got me to being able to do my podcast. And there's two different types. There's external learning, resources, books, podcasts, all that.
yeah,
Then there's internal learning, right? So you have to learn about yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, self-awareness. You talked about self-reflection in order to kind of learn about, you talked about self-reflection in the past. I think we talked about that, right?
to see what makes you happy throughout the day.
Exactly. So, I mean, yeah. So how does someone, I don't know. I just feel like that's important. Like I'd like to know your thoughts on this external versus internal learning.
Well, as soon as you said external versus internal, I thought about like internal as like within my company and external as being like the outside research that I usually do, right?
Sure.
So it was like, that's the first thing that came to my mind. But of course, internally, like individually, it's important as well. For me, it's like hard not to like read something and then not relate it to myself. Like I tend to just do that automatically. And it's like, when you're reading a book or like you're reading about anything to do with personal development, you're not just reading it for the sake of reading. You have to read it in order to apply it to yourself and see, when have I done this?
Yep.
When have I reacted this way? Do I act like this? And then you've got to reflect whether or not that was right or wrong in your mind, and should it be something that you should change or not, or work on? And that's where real growth happens. That's what I feel like. So you have to like personally develop your mind and get to that sense of like self-awareness to really be able to invest your time and like your effort into a business.
Yeah, no. So I agree. I think self-awareness is the most important mental skill.
Yeah, knowing your strengths and weaknesses is so, so, so important, because you want to focus on your strengths and you want to work on your weaknesses to make yourself stronger in those areas as well.
And if you have a weakness like, oh, I'm not good at editing, I'm not good at like putting together footage and stuff, you can outsource, find someone who's good at it. Don't focus on your weakness, focus on what you're good at and like really harness that. And bring people into your business or collaborate with people on your weaknesses. You don't have to be a completely perfect person all around. You're not gonna be.
Of course.
Right? And the last thing is to take risks.
Yeah.
This is how you get ahead. This is how you put yourself out there and be past your competition, is when you take risks, when you be bold, you give yourself deadlines that are just crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How have you taken risks with your business?
I'm a huge risk taker. I think throughout my life, I've always left things to like the last minute. So I take a lot of risks on a daily basis because of that. Yeah. Especially if I hadn't taken the risk of even starting this business, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be sitting here with you, across from you, having this conversation. And I wouldn't have led down that whole path of coming to where I am today. And I wouldn't be as self-aware as I am because of the business. I've personally grown so much that I don't think I would have been able to do if I hadn't taken the risk and said yes to this opportunity. So
that's awesome.
That's probably like the biggest risk I've taken, to be honest.
That's cool.
And I've gotten such a good thing out of it. So I appreciate that.
That risk has started at the very beginning.
Yeah.
I like that. I heard this on a YouTube video. Tim Ferriss, he was on a Gary Vee podcast, and he said one of the risks he would do is every time he would go buy his coffee or go make a purchase for food, he would always be like, can I have 10% off? He would just ask. Even though there's the most likely chance, the cashier would just laugh and be like, sure, man. And sometimes they would just give him 10% off.
Exactly.
But he would
There's
always
ask.
A
chance.
Yep. He would just take a little risk.
If you don't take the risk, then you're never going to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm gonna try that now. If I'm buying coffee, I like McDonald's, I'll be like, hey, can I get 10%? They'll be like, no. And I'll be like, okay.
I'm gonna laugh. They're probably just gonna tell you to download the McDonald's app because they usually have coupons.
Sure, right? I mean, that's 10% off, right? I wouldn't have known if I didn't take the risk and ask.
That's true. You wouldn't have known.
I just want to close out. We went over the 10 pillars, so we kind of got through that. I hope you guys listening or watching at home can at least take one or two pillars. Maybe at least one or two will put a person in a better position to kind of start a business.
Exactly. Yeah.
But on our way out, what are some of the best rewards of being an entrepreneur? Like, what are some of the best takeaways from what, you've done with your business thus far?
I feel like making a difference is like a huge thing for me in order to be happy with what I'm doing and to know that what my work and effort has actually helped someone. Whether that's through helping my customers achieve like their hair or skincare goals, like if they feel like one day they woke up and their hair looks so nice, or they use a certain product and they're like so happy with the results, and awesome. They message me and telling me like so excited and everything, that feels so good to me. Like that, I think for a lot of like all market partners, that's like the one thing that really makes them happy. Yep. Because of course they can of course, if they are happy with the product, they're obviously going to refer it to other people, and that's going to grow your business as well. But just helping like other people feel more confident with themselves or their hair or their skin.
It's a big one, yeah.
It's huge. It's actually huge. And then the other side of it is also when you bring in someone into the business and they've started their own business, and when they start seeing some success and they start making money, or even if they just make their first sale, and they message you.
It still hits different.
Yeah, it's like I just feel so happy because it's like, yay, I'm so glad that we like found each other and that I was able to help you achieve that or hit that milestone. Yep. So that's huge for me.
I would agree 100%. This question might be kind of controversial, but like I'm so fascinated by this because like it's about your school and universities nowadays, right? I mean, people they're doing their schooling. I would say university especially, because college, you kind of go for a specific skill or trade and stuff like that. You need to go. But I feel like for a lot of university programs, if people are online nowadays, they're spending like tens of thousands of dollars to watch online videos.
Yeah.
And that's how they have to learn. But at the same time, there's things like Skillshare, masterclasses, where you can spend way less and learn so much. And so just as entrepreneurs ourselves, would you go back and would you change some of the steps in your life? Like, for example, would you not go to university, or would you tell someone that's considering, would you tell them like, whoa, just stop before you do that? What's your kind of thoughts on university versus learning online without paying a bunch of money?
Yeah, I feel you. I'd like to say that I don't regret anything that I've done.
Fair enough, yes.
Because it's brought you to the point where you are today. So
Agreed.
It's part of your journey. It's part of your path.
Yep.
But if I could go back and decide, I probably wouldn't go to university. I'd probably just go to college for something specific that I have actually been interested in. Mm-hmm. I do, of course, I appreciate my university education. I've learned a lot of things, but it didn't really direct me towards a specific career. Even since I've explored different options, I've even taught at a private school for over a year, and even though I enjoyed it, it wasn't something that I saw myself doing day in, day out, for the rest of my life, right? Yeah. But at least I got to have that experience. At least I can say that I taught I taught social studies to kids, and it was relevant to what I studied in university, so I used my education.
Yeah.
And it did teach me a lot of things, but if I could go back in time, I would definitely not go to university.
Right. And so again, I know it's kind of like people are in university and they're like, hey, I'm doing that right now. And then maybe they'll be like, oh, wait, but I guess it's the mindset of being an entrepreneur, because I don't think it really sets you up for being school doesn't. I don't know if the school curriculum sets you up to think for yourself. It's kind of like, do this. You're going to get this grade for doing this. There's not a lot of room for creativity.
Exactly.
I feel like, you know what I mean?
That's the thing that, when you're that young, it's so hard to make a decision, first of all. When you're 16, 17, and you've got to decide what you're going to do for the rest of your life, that's a huge burden that we put on kids.
Yeah.
And, of course, at that time, you're not going to know exactly what you're going to want in 5 years or even 10 years, right? So it is a difficult decision, but even just knowing, if you do know at that age, there's a lot of people out there that knew when they were 10 years old what they wanted to do, and that was just their mindset throughout when they were growing up, right?
Big ups to them.
Right? And it's they did those things. They knew what they had to do in order to achieve that. They had to go to university and do this specific program in order to achieve it, but if you don't know, just don't go the same path that you think is right. Just take some time to explore what you really want in your life.
Facts. Well, I only have one more question left on our way out here. It's a question I ask everybody, and I want to know your answer for this. It's what sets your soul on fire? Just a general question, so I kind of want to know how you take that idea.
What sets my soul on fire? That's a hard question. And you asked me this before too, and I did the same thing.
There you go. I mean, yeah, it just provokes like a real authentic answer. Like,
it's like this has to be like really important, you know? It has to be something that's like that really gets me going. I think hitting a new achievement in my career, like in my business, that is like eye-opening to me. Like when I'm feeling all of the feelings, like I'm proud of myself, but I also want to cry because like it took so like long and so much effort to get there. But you're also happy and excited. So I feel like feeling all of the emotions at once when you're feeling them is what like really sets your soul on fire. So I think like hitting a new achievement in my business is like, that's what sets my soul on fire.
That's awesome. Awesome. That just means you're working so hard to get that, and that means you appreciate every moment that you get to experience for that.
And then it gets amplified too, because like when I send in my group chats, like I told you before, it gets amplified because like the girls know what it takes to get to what you just achieved. And
then you send it to your family, they're like, okay. Like, or your friends are like, so okay, cool. Like, great. It's a different perspective, but
like,
at the same time,
how much did you make?
$35, Mom. Like, leave me alone. Like, it's different. It hits different. Money from your business always hits different.
Yeah.
Always. But
because it's like, you know, someone trusted me enough to buy something that I recommended. Like that means a lot. That means they trust my opinion and value it, right?
Exactly. All right. So I mean, I'm all out of questions. I'm done. That's it. That's it, guys. Anything you want to say on our way out, or questions, or just any last final thoughts?
Just gonna remind you again, fail forward, because a lot of the times when you're even thinking of starting your business, it's going to get overwhelming and you're going to feel like pressure to just quit and just be like, it's okay, it wasn't in the stars for me. Just keep going. If you're passionate about it, if you're serious about it, you can do it.
Yeah, and that brings us full circle. You know, if you find your passions, there's a way to profit from it. And it's fine to make money from what you do. Yeah. If you're good at something, don't do it for free.
Exactly. Right? Just don't think of the how. Just think of like what it is that you're passionate about. The why. Don't worry about, the why. And don't worry about how you're going to get there, because you'll think of a way. Like it will come to you if you're really serious about it.
You got this, guys. All right. Well, thank you for joining us on this episode. Thank you and my guest, Sonam, for coming on and getting this done with me.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. This is tougher than you guys might think, getting this episode done, but we're here now, and thank you for being here. Hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed. And have a good day, everybody.
All right, bye.
So what's going on, everybody? Hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope you learned something. I hope you thought differently about entrepreneurship. Maybe you're excited to turn your passions into profit, or maybe you're an entrepreneur now and some of these kind of techniques and conversations, further motivated and inspired you. In any case, I appreciate you for being here, for watching. If you haven't liked this podcast or this video on YouTube, give it a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and I just appreciate all the support you guys have given me thus far. Lots more episodes coming. I'm just so excited to be here and to have this opportunity to connect with you guys watching and listening. That's all I got for today. Hope you have a good day. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next episode, okay? This has been Vibing Out with Texony. I'm your host, Texony, aka Mr. World Vibe. And I'm signing out. Peace.